Well, hello everybody and welcome to Jeff's Baking Blog. Today I'm going to make Gypsy Creams or Golden Crunchy Creams. These are a sandwich biscuit. Now Gypsy Creams, which might be known as Romany Creams in places like South Africa, were a biscuit which used to be made by McVities, but I think they ceased production in about 2005. But they're a biscuit made with flour and oats and then sandwiched with a sort of buttercream type filling. Nice and crunchy, very, very tasty indeed. So I'll start off by preheating my oven to 180 degrees Celsius. That's 160 Celsius with a fan, 350 Fahrenheit. And I've lined a couple of baking trays with my silicone mats, or you can use parchment paper. So I'll go on to the ingredients. And for this I have 225 grams, which is 1.5 cups based on scooping packed flour into a 250 milliliter cup of plain flour. I have 225 grams, which is 1 cup of unsalted butter, which is softened. I have 100 grams of caster sugar, which is half a cup. 75 grams of porridge oats or rolled oats, that's 3/4 of a cup. 2 grams, half a teaspoon of baking powder. 2 grams, half a teaspoon of baking soda. A good pinch of salt. 20 grams, 1 tablespoon of golden syrup, though you could use corn syrup, you could use honey I think as well. 5 milliliters of vanilla extract. I'm also going to use 30 milliliters, 2 tablespoons of boiling water. But that's not here, simply because it won't be boiling if I have it out here. So then I also have for the filling 150 grams, 1.5 cups of icing sugar, 75 grams, 5 tablespoons plus 1 teaspoon of softened unsalted butter, and 5 milliliters, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And the first thing we need to do is to cream the butter and the sugar together. So I'll put my butter into a large bowl and I'll add the sugar as well. And I'll cream those together using my hand mixer, although the butter's soft enough you could do it quite easily just by hand. And that's good, that's light and fluffy now. So then I'm going to add into that my golden syrup, and my vanilla extract, and my 2 tablespoons of boiling water, and this is likely to melt the mixture a little bit, but it doesn't matter, and we'll whisk that together. And that's good. So then I'm going to mix my dry ingredients together, and I'll put the baking soda, the baking powder and the salt into the flour, and I'll give that a stir around. Then I'll add the oats and stir those through as well. and I'll put that into the butter mixture, and I'm going to mix that until it all comes together, it all clumps together into a nice biscuit dough basically. So that's good enough, and I need to divide that into 30 equal portions. And to divide it, I'm going to measure it, but you can do it by eye. About 21 grams is what you want for each biscuit. And that's 21 grams, and then you need to put that into your hand if you can, and just form it into a ball, and place it on your baking tray. Leaving a good gap between them. I've divided my biscuit dough into 30 balls, and they're quite sticky, so I actually floured my fingertips as I was rolling them, and I'm going to dip my fingers into more flour, and I'm going to press each of the balls down a little bit to flatten it, trying to keep it round if I can. And with them flattened like that, I'm going to put them into the oven, and I'm going to bake them for 15 to 18 minutes until they've got a nice golden colour on the top and I can see that they're cooked through. Then I'll take them out of the oven and gently transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely, and then once they've cooled, we'll make the buttercream filling and we'll sandwich them together. I baked my biscuits for 18 minutes and they baked up, they spread out and they baked up quite nicely. So I took them out of the oven and put them onto a wire rack to cool down, which is what they've done now. So it's time to go on to make the filling to go into the centre. I should say, if you hear a noise in the background, one of my neighbours is chopping down a tree or sawing it down, so you might hear that. So let's go on and make this filling. So I'm going to put my icing sugar, which I'm not going to bother to sieve, into a bowl, and I'll put the butter in as well, and the vanilla extract, and I'm going to whisk that. But before I whisk it, I'm just going to mix it a little bit with a spatula. That's to get the icing sugar clumping so that it doesn't go and form too much cloudiness as we mix it, because it tends to be very light and it flies everywhere. And that's probably good enough. So I'll just whisk that until it's fully combined. And that's all there is to that, basically. So then we can fill the biscuits. Now I have to own up to having already eaten 2 of the biscuits. I just couldn't resist. So I'm going to take a teaspoon or two, and I'm just going to spoon an amount of biscuit onto half of the biscuits which I've turned upside down. And then with each of the biscuits with the filling on, I'm simply going to place the biscuits one upon the other and work the filling around so that it spreads across the base. So I've sandwiched mine together, and I will actually normally leave them to set up just a little bit so that the buttercream firms up a little bit, but I've already been tasting one, so I'll have a taste of this one now. The biscuit is really lovely and light and crunchy, such a light texture. The buttercream is sweet, the biscuit's not overly sweet, and I ate a couple of the biscuits just by themselves, and they're perfect by themselves as well as a sandwich biscuit. So a very simple recipe, a very tasty recipe. I hope you've enjoyed it, and if you have, please give me the thumbs up below and click to subscribe to my YouTube channel. In the top right hand corner of the screen there will be an eye which will take you to a link for the recipe, and I'll put a link below the video as well, and I'll be back with another recipe in the very near future. So until then, happy baking.